Welcome back to Without Shortcuts. Today we are making angel food cake. So angel food cake is delicious, it's light, it's fluffy. You can use it for a lot of different things, and it's a great use of egg whites if you've just made a big batch of creme brulee or maybe some ice cream or something else that's going to take a whole lot of egg yolks, because this recipe calls for 12 egg whites.
Which is a lot of egg whites, but totally worth it. And in the end, having good angel food cake it's really hard to beat.
Yep.
So we're gonna go ahead and get started. The key to angel food cake, having it nice and light and fluffy and airy. To do that, it helps to use pastry flour or cake flour. And the other thing that makes that process work is to make sure that you sift your flour very, very well. Get as much air into that flour as you can. So to do that, we've got our flour. We're going to mix half of our sugar into that, and then we will just sift it through our mesh. So this is nice and light and fluffy, but we're going to go ahead, we're going to take another bowl, and we're going to do it again. Third time. And just for good measure, we're going to do it one more time to make sure. There you go. Nice, fine, airy, light flour.
The next step in the process to introduce as much air as we possibly can is we're going to whip our egg whites into a meringue. Now before you do that, you do want to make sure that your bowl and your whisk are really, really clean. You don't want any fat in there or oil or anything like that, because that's going to keep you from getting the lift in your egg whites that you need. So after you make sure it's clean, you can also wipe it out with just a little bit of lemon juice or even some white vinegar, just to really make sure that you've got all the oil out. So let's go ahead and get this started. Those are going to go right into the bowl. We're going to get this on the mixer, and then we're going to start out whipping this at kind of like a medium-low speed until it starts to get foamy. All right, our egg whites are starting to get foamy, so we're going to add in the vanilla, the salt, and the cream of tartar. And then we'll increase the speed to medium and let that go for about 3 minutes until we get some nice soft peaks. We've got some air whipped into our egg whites. We're at just about a kind of a soft peak stage on them. So now what we're going to do is start adding the sugar into our meringue. So at this point we can turn the speed of the beater up to about a medium high. You don't really want to go any higher than that, because you'll actually start knocking some of the air out. But we're going to add the sugar in a little bit at a time. It's going to take probably 6 or 8 additions. You want to let it go for probably no more than a minute in between each addition. And we're going to whip it until we get to some nice glossy stiff peaks. We've reached the stiff peak stage. So as you can see, when we pull the beater out, the peak just kind of falls over just a little bit. So we've got lots and lots of air incorporated into our egg whites now.
With all that air incorporated in, that's what's going to make this cake rise. There's no chemical agents, there's no baking soda, nothing. So you want to make sure that you keep as much of that air in this as possible. So to do that, we still need to mix our flour in, but to keep all the air, we're just going to do this in small little batches, and then we're just going to fold it gently in. It doesn't have to be mixed. You don't want to stir it, nothing like that. So we're just going to do this in, 4, 5, 6 batches. Put a little bit in there, incorporate it, a little more, incorporate it. So we'll start just a little bit of our flour, and then I'm just going to pull it around the edge and through the middle. Make sure you're getting all the way around the sides, all the way down to the bottom, and just distributing the flour throughout that meringue. A little bit more. And our last little bit. And just until it's barely incorporated. You don't want to work this. You don't want any gluten development. And you don't want to knock any air out like we said. And once that's done, this is ready to go. You're going to put this into a pan. Now you do want to have an angel food cake pan because for one, the bottom on this comes out, and if you don't have that, you're really going to struggle without tearing this thing apart. It is nice. A lot of angel food cake pans will have little stands that come up on the sides, and that's so when you take it out, you can put it upside down. For whatever reason, when I got this pan, it didn't have those, but there's ways around that. So when you buy a pan, just make sure it is an actual angel food cake pan. It doesn't need to be prepped. You don't need to do anything. Just make sure, like Brian said earlier, nice and clean, nothing in there, ready to go. And once it is, then you're just going to pour your batter in there. And then just gently use your spatula, kind of spread it out and get it nice and even in your pan. That is not too bad, just right there.
All right, and then the last thing that you're gonna do before this goes into the oven, really carefully, because you gotta be gentle with this cake, but you wanna run a knife through it just to release any big air bubbles that may be in your batter.
Yes, while you do want all the small, itty bitty little tiny air bubbles, those are a good thing. If you have any big air bubbles that are sitting inside of that batter, when you put it in the oven, you'll get a big expansion.
Right.
And the whole thing just, it goes south really quickly if you have big air bubbles.
I'll try to recreate Doug's handiwork here and just smooth things out a little bit.
And with that, we're ready for the oven. 325 degrees for 30 to 40 minutes until it's nice and light brown and toasty on the top.
Our cake's done, it looks good, so let's go ahead and pull it out of the oven.
So we're gonna pull it out, and then, like we mentioned, having the stands on the cake pan to flip it upside down. If you don't have those, what I always do is just turn a couple of water glasses upside down so that you can rest it upside down on that. Sometimes the hole in the middle of the pan is large enough, you can set it on like a wine bottle and it'll just hold it there. But this seems to work the best for me. So you wanna just turn it upside down nice and gently and just rest it somewhere and let it cool upside down. And the reason you do that is because the cake is so light and so airy that if you do it just sitting right side up, it will actually deflate itself just from the weight of it.
Right.
So you put it upside down, you let it cool that way, and as it cools, it'll kind of build up a little bit more structure, it'll be a little more firm, so that when you flip it back over, it won't collapse on itself. But as it is, we'll let that thing cool for a little bit. You should let it cool for at least an hour and a half so that it's all the way through.
Right.
And if you let it go even longer than that, that's even better.
Our angel food cake has been cooling for a couple of hours, so we're gonna go ahead and pull it out of the pan and see what we've got here. So before you try to take it out, you wanna use a knife or an offset spatula or something like this and just go around the edge of the pan just to loosen things up. And then we're also going to go around the cone in the middle here. And then it should come right out.
It smells good.
Yes, it does.
Now you can do a lot of things with this cake. You can cut it in half this way and then fill it. My mom used to do it where she'd fill it with a cherry kind of glaze, which was wonderful and delicious. You can do this with a chocolate frosting on top, or like a meringue frosting is a really nice way to go. I mean, it just goes with almost anything. For the purposes of this, we have thrown together just a raspberry coulis. We do have a video for that if you want to see exactly how to make this, which is a nice accompaniment to it.
Yep.
It's simple, plain, easy. So we're going to go ahead and cut a little piece of this. See what we did. Make sure when you cut your angel food cake, you're sawing back and forth, because if you just try and push through it,
Right.
everything's going to fall with it.
Yeah, you worked way too hard to get a bunch of air into this. Don't squish it all out.
All right. Look at that.
Man. Whew.
Not
Looks good.
bad.
Also makes a really good base for strawberry shortcake too.
Absolutely.
If you want something a little bit lighter than like a typical shortcake biscuit, angel food cake makes a great substitute.
Also, really good for dipping in chocolate fondue.
Ooh, yeah.
If you're looking for another thing to make to impress somebody with fondue.
And another video to watch. We might know where you can find one of those.
Maybe somewhere up there. All right, please have at it.
All right. Wow, we got so much air into that. That is so just light and fluffy and squishy.
It is really light.
Damn.
It's just like it's like there's something there just supporting a little bit of the vanilla and sugar, but
Yeah.
I mean, it's almost like a really well-structured cotton candy or something. I mean,
Yeah, it's almost that light. It's amazing.
yeah. And for as easy as this is to make, you just can't go wrong. I mean,
Yeah.
as far as cake goes, it's moist, it's light, it's flavorful, it's not filling.
Right.
I mean, you could probably sit and eat that whole thing and it wouldn't be horrible because it's hardly anything there.
That's right.
Yeah, I mean, this is a classic. It's super easy. No reason to buy this at the store. You can absolutely do this at home and it's well worth it.
Yep. And if you are doing it at home, from scratch like that is way better than any sort of a mix you might find. This is a good one for sure.
Yeah, I don't even know how you do this with a mix. Like I'm trying to think about.
I know they're out there though.
Anyway, so definitely give this one a shot.
Yep.
It's well worth the effort and the time. Let us know what you think. Let us know what you would pair with it, how you would top it and dress it and make it your own.
Yeah, for sure.
And yeah, send us some pictures. These make some really impressive pictures when you doll them all up and get the frosting on them and everything you want. So send us some pictures. Hit us up on the social media, Instagram, Twitter, blah, blah, blah. Eventually, maybe we'll have TikTok. I think I've heard that before.
Yeah, we keep talking about that.
But let us see what you did. We'd love to see it. Tell us how yours turned out. And until the next time around, keep skipping the shortcuts, and we'll see you again.
All right, thanks, guys.